friends, the show starts now. Welcome to the Weekly Roundtable, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the Weekly Roundtable, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. We being forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly Roundtable, we got no cables. Predicting the future using their bagels. Chart is throwing out numbers, no trouble. He finds the gems for real, no struggle. Calculations running through your mind. Weighing options, seeing what you'll find. Crypto waves crashing like the tide.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Weekly Roundtable. We have a packed house tonight. We have Juan G, we have Crypto Cruiser, myself, as well as Terry Motive. How is everyone doing today?
Fired up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
Ready to go.
Great to see you, Terry. Before we get started, make sure everyone understands that this is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Nothing that is said on this live stream should be taken as financial advice. Simply our own ideas and our own perspective and our own opinions. And we hope it'll be aimed to educate and bring awareness to the crypto space. Today we have a packed show. We have a little bit of information on something that's going on in the U.S. with the IRS. We have some information or advice and opinions on the upcoming next leg of the bull market. We're going to explain, a little bit of DCAing, how that works, different ways to do it, and the upcoming narratives that we believe are coming next for the crypto space. So first, we will, as usual, go over the Bitcoin charts, which I have currently up already. Might as well show that now. Okay, here's the current Bitcoin chart. Now, I do have some arrows on here. I was going to take them off, but then I decided not to. I was kind of having a conversation with somebody earlier on the 200 MA, and they were saying that the Bitcoin price was, good chance that it was going to come down into the to mid to low 80s, which was possible. But we just kept on ranging sideways, and I had a couple of areas of liquidity here. I was going to put on my arrow, and here we go. This one here, as you can see, the price had dipped into this liquidity zone quite a few times, and it has acted as support. I did have one down here as kind of a lower support area. And then we have the 200 here, and I was explaining that this 200 has previously been pretty good support since we broke out of this the sideways action we had for a couple of months earlier in the year. Once we dipped below it, it acted as resistance, and then when we finally did break out, it acted as support twice. And then before we went on that awesome run up to 108,000. And I was just saying that with all the liquidity here and the way it had been respecting this liquidity area, I figured if it did wick down, I think the 200 would have been a good level of support. Didn't quite make it. And as you can tell, we have bounced off the bottom of that liquidity zone. And we're currently at 96,976, so 97,000 for all intents and purposes, which is great to see. I know I'll go around the table here to get everyone's opinion on what you think is going to happen next with the Bitcoin price. I'll start off with Terry, our resident chart master. How's Bitcoin looking to you?
Short-term bullish for sure. I definitely think we're going to head up a little bit further. I mean, the SRSI is a little bit high, but I think okay. So probably I'm looking at the 4-hour actually. So probably I'm seeing a really super short-term pullback and then a continuation on up. So probably I think probably back to near 100,000.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. And as you can see on the chart here, I do have 100,000 labeled with the green line there. So yeah, that would be nice if we do get up that 100,000. Now, Juan and Cruiser, I know you guys are also following Bitcoin intently. We all are, because whatever Bitcoin does, the rest of the market follows. But Cruiser, what do you see happening with Bitcoin in the short term?
Well, I guess I have to mirror the other sentiment out there, and that it's definitely short-term bullish. I'd love to see it hit that 108 mark again. but I do think that it's going to pull back at some point, but I don't believe it's going to dip below that. I'd say about the 90 mark, not much more anyway.
Yeah, that seems to be a good area of support.
Yeah.
Juan, what about yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely looking bullish, but it's that ranging bullish. So what does that mean, right? So we talked about this a few weeks ago, where the price tends to kind of pump, and then the market makers kind of see this liquidity down there, and says, "Let me scoop some up," and it'll probably happen a few more times. I think that 100 mark is like an exciting mark for us to kind of revisit. So I see us touching it back, but I also see people continue to look for these liquidity marks, and I'm hoping that those who have been following us have been preparing themselves to take their profit when they see that 97, 98, 100, and again, prepare themselves to see it come back down to 90, 92, 93, right? And then rebuy at 93 for it to continue his leg up. So I love this type of market. I love this when it's ranging like this because it makes the market easy to make money in, and it's very predictable. And you put some short stop losses and some long runs, and hopefully you collect your profit on the way up. So I'm excited to see what February brings, because I think January is going to be much of the same of this ranging kind of mentality, while the people who are in charge of their money, as far like tax accountants and stuff, kind of figure out how they should kind of play this year.
Okay, good point. Actually, you brought up the manipulation that we've had. Now you're looking at this is the hourly chart on Bitcoin, and it's clear to see the manipulation. Like you look down here just before the holidays. When was this? Around the 24th? No, that was the 30th. So it was just a couple days ago. And you got this massive pump up and then a dump down, pump up, dump down. I mean, it was clear manipulation. The market makers were looking to scoop up that liquidity. Anybody who was in pretty high leverage longs. And if you look at, I'm not going to say it was a clear reversal, but yeah, you look at the Bitcoin price here ever since that bit of a pump we had a few days back, and we had lower lows and lower highs. So we were clearly in a downtrend, and then once we hit the bottom of this liquidity zone, is where we kind of flipped it. We started having higher lows and higher highs to the current price we are now. If you zoom into today, I was watching the chart and I was thinking, God, it's so blatantly obvious. You got almost the exact amount of a price pump and then dump and then pump and then dump and then pump. It amazes me sometimes. You look at the Bitcoin price, and in hindsight, you see just how predictable it can be. And if you follow the liquidation chart, which I often do, I believe I have it up here. No, that's the inflows. I do have the liquidation chart somewhere, and I'll show you in a bit. But just watching it live, you could see the liquidations. The price was moving down, and there was about 500 million liquidated of long positions, and then it went the other way, and same thing, 300 or 400 liquidated short positions. It was kind of it's unfortunate because people were losing money, and you never like to see people lose money, but it's crazy how people were opening longs and shorts based on short-term price action. They were just using FOMO, and that's the number one killer when it comes to leverage trading. When you FOMO in, even spot trading for that matter, but when you FOMO in, chances are you're going to lose some money. It's definitely not recommended. But what can you do? You can tell people until you're blue in the face not to do it, and they're going to do it anyway. So that's the Bitcoin chart. I'm going to switch over now to the Bitcoin dominance. Been following that, and it has finally. This is the hourly. Let's go back to the daily. It had started to come back up, but then it finally decided to reject off of the previous upper trend line, and it has come back down. So when Bitcoin, started its or Bitcoin dominance, started its trend back up, that's when you saw the altcoins really take a shit kicking, for lack of a better word. You saw a lot of them down 10, 15, 20% in one day, and then 20 to 25 to 30 in some cases within a couple of days. But even though Bitcoin didn't really move all that much, it's just the money was flowing out of the altcoins and into Bitcoin. But since then, it did touch on that previous upward trend and rejected, and it is now seeing a steady decline. We're now at 57.63%. We'd like to see that come all the way down. I'm not sure what the ideal level would be, but it would be nice to retest some of this area down here at 50%, which the last time we tested that was, way back here in 2023, when we had that initial beginning of the run up out of the bear market. So that's Bitcoin dominance. As usual, keep an eye on that. And then the other one I wanted to show is the USDT dominance. Now, for whatever reason, this one did. Okay, good. This previous trend line, it did break below. It lost the support of that trend. It tried to break out again, and it was rejected. So it is now coming down as well. It's at 4.13%. Another chart master from DGens, Terry Chart Davidson, he's hoping that this dominance, comes back down around between the 2 and 2.5 range. And when that happens, that's typically it means there's a lot of liquidity, a lot of money in the market, and not on the sidelines. So we'll keep an eye on that. It was good that it was rejected off of that trend there. Do you guys have any comments or anything on those before we move on?
Yeah, dropping the Bitcoin dominance is definitely necessary for alts to take off. That's just one of the things that has to happen. The one thing I did want to point out is, on that daily dominance chart that you had up, is the pullback on that is looking a little falling wedgy to me. So I understand it is somewhat of a flag formation, but I don't know about that falling wedge there. A little bit suspect to me. So we might see a pop back up off of that before a reversal back down. Maybe another test of the EMA there.
To the upper, the EMA, yeah. In hindsight, you look at that almost does look like a pretty good bull flag. Yeah, you're right. It could break up the upside, but then again, there is a 15% chance that it breaks down before going back and testing.
For maybe for those who are new to crypto, and trying to understand, the price action and some of the correlation between everything is, and the bigger scheme of things, people don't just make money when the price goes up and down, right? There's a lot of things that happen in the back end, like when they loan money out, when they get paid back, when they are transaction fees. So all those things, like for these market makers, is huge because the market is ranging, but they're still making money. Even when they're losing money, they're still making money off of you. So for them, having a ranging market is very beneficial for a little bit because they're collecting all these other ways of making money on the sideway until it takes off again. And they already know when it's going to take off. So they allow it to range. So those are things for newbies to kind of understand that, hey, why don't they just do a sell-off? Or why don't they just allow the price to exceed? Because they're still making money this way. And they're okay with that. So as long as the trend and people are buying and selling, they're okay with this. Just a little, backstory to why things are the way they are sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good point. You got to look at all sides for sure. Cruiser, anything on that? You're good? All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to touch on is a lot of people, well, especially when they're new into crypto, I get people at work asking me all the time, excuse me, how do you know when to get into a project or get into a token? And they don't understand charts at all. Basic TA is kind of an important skill set to learn when you're getting into crypto, simply because if you can just learn basic patterns, basic TA, it gives you a better idea of good times to buy. Now there's all kinds of ways. There are a lot of people that, they don't really care what the price of a token is. Once a week, or, once every couple of weeks, or once a month, they'll put a certain amount into whatever it is, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Sui, whatever it happens to be. So they don't really care about the price. But if you're going to be doing any, if you want to make sure you get a fire sale prices when they're cheap, it's a good idea to learn a little bit of TA, and kind of gives you levels as to, possible good times to buy. This also can be used if you're going to be doing leverage trading. We don't recommend leverage trading to anyone that's never done it. Actually, we don't really recommend it to anyone. I mean, chances are you're going to get wrecked. But if you do understand the basics and you learn your TA, you might have a bit of an advantage, or at least a bit of a weapon to get proper entries. And Cruiser and I were actually talking about this just a couple of days ago, and I was showing him a perfect way, a perfect setup on XRP. And I'd just like to show it really quick on the stream, just to kind of so people understand. Now, this is the XRP price on the daily. I'm going to switch it to the hourly just because you kind of get a better detailed idea. But what we were talking about was XRP had gone on such a run. It was down in the mid, or was this like 50s, and it shot all the way up to, what did it get up to? $2.68, I believe it was. Like, that's a massive gain in a short amount of time. So obviously when something pumps up that high, there's going to be a little bit of a pullback and a consolidation. As you can see here, XRP formed this perfect, well, I wouldn't say perfect, but it's almost textbook bull flag. For any of those that are unfamiliar, what that means is when you get a massive high price rise, and then you get kind of a consolidation sideways, usually tends to form a flag, and then the pump, or the massive price action is what forms the flag pull. Now on XRP specifically, I'll zoom in here. As you can see, it was ranging in here, and normally the way they work is as it gets close to the end of the bull flag toward the peak, they say usually about 85% of the way, 70 to 85%, it'll either break out to the upside or break out to the downside. Now, in a bull market, especially on a bull flag, 85% of the time it does break out to the top side, and sometimes, as I was just mentioning to Terry before the stream, on the Bitcoin dominance, that 15% of the time it can drop down. Chances are that doesn't happen. But if I zoom in here, as I was saying, on the XRP price, the price actually did what we call a breakout and then confirmation. So XRP broke out of the bull flag, and then it did return, and it tested the previous resistance, the top of the flag, and turned it into support, and then off to the races it went. Now, this amount can vary. Sometimes, it depends on who you talk to. A lot of people say you take the base of the flag and you measure that and yada, yada. That's all too technical. All you really need to know is that when a crypto does form a pattern, always look. So this is what is called confirmation. So you had the breakout, and then it confirmed, and then it went up. Now, usually when it confirms, that's the point of entry. So if you're going to do a long position or even buy spot, and you want to, get some quick gains, not if it's something you're going to hold long term, then this would be the point at which you buy. Because usually, I'm not going to say every single time, it's not 100% accurate, but usually this will be the point in which you will begin to see gains. Now, obviously, there are times, if you look back here, when it does break out and even confirms, and then drops right back down inside the flag. That does happen often. But of course, that all depends on what Bitcoin is doing. And at this point, this is where Bitcoin decided to, alleviate some leverage in the market, we'll say. But if Bitcoin had cooperated, then this, very well could have just kept going. But it jumped back into the flag, and then it continued along its merry way, testing a couple of times, top and bottom, before finally breaking out. So we'll have to see where the price action goes from here. But if Bitcoin cooperates, then XRP could continue further up. Gentlemen, did you have anything to add on that?
You could attribute that when it broke out there and then fell back in and actually went to the bottom of that flag, you could attribute a lot of that to manipulation. Had that manipulation not occurred around that time, it probably wouldn't have come back in as low as it did.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly when the Bitcoin manipulation, like I said, they wanted to get rid of liquidity of the market. And of course, whatever Bitcoin does, altcoins always follow. Usually there are some outliers, but for the most part, they will follow Bitcoin. And
that's the hardest part about it. Well, the not being able to predict it. It's because you can't predict manipulation.
Nope, not at all.
So yeah, that upside breakout, when you have that deviation at the upside, and very often when action re-enters, it will go back to the downside channel. But when you have deviation to the upside and it doesn't break down after that, you get a really strong rejection. That was really, really bullish on that. The thing that's going on with XRP right now is they transferred more than like $1 billion worth of their tokens from like an escrow wallet to another wallet. So people are really bullish on that. The open interest is come up by like 25% in the first 2 days this year. After dropping in December, the volume's really up. The SEC case is really looking weak right now versus them, right? So Commissioner Lissaraga, he's leaving on the 17th. Gensler's out the 20th. They actually put a note on the transaction, the transfer of that all those coins. They actually put a note on the transaction alluding to the bullishness of the Trump administration for crypto.
I did read that actually. Yeah, it's kind of neat that they left that. Pardon me, that footnote in there. Very, very bullish. Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure how XRP got grouped into the category of Dino coin, but XRP, Quant, HBAR. There's a few of them that are considered Dino coins now. Cardano, ADA is another one, and they all seem to run together, which is kind of unique. It's almost like its own narrative now. But yeah, if once those SEC personnel are replaced, Gensler is gone, the pro crypto administration takes over. Yeah, we could see those, ISO 20022 tokens and the other Dino coins really take off. Excited for that, and we'll have to wait and see how that plays out after the 20th of January. And that's the other thing, actually, I wanted to ask you guys as well. We were talking about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin action short term. The inauguration and the administration exchange takes over on the 20th of January. Now, I know we had mentioned this last week. Juan, you weren't here. Terry, obviously you weren't here, but I kind of mentioned that I believe we're going to have some, bullish to neutral price action from here until we'll say this 18th, maybe 19th. And we could possibly see a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing when Trump does get in. You might see manipulators decide to reverse a little bit. Maybe we'll have a bit of a dip. But then after that, I believe, is when we're going to really start seeing the big gains and the euphoric part of the bull market. How do you guys feel about that? Juan, I'll start with you.
Well, being from the U.S., it's tough, right? Because when you hear the sentiment about Biden and his economy, the expression is that he sucked, plain and simple. But when you see how the market performed under his 4 years, it grew by a lot. So to me, the challenge is, will that continue under Trump? So it's hard to say, right? Because there's a lot of people who want Trump because they feel they can get away with stuff, right? And so it really depends on who's going to be left to regulate. And if Gary Gensler is really going to step down, and that's it looks like it's official. But you still have other departments that also need to kind of get out of the way to give some freedom to either consolidate some businesses, make some new rules, regulate properly. So all those things seem positive, right? But sometimes the opposite could also happen, where you might see a lot of bullish sentiment now prior to Biden leaving, and then Trump comes in, and then the market falls into the bottom, right? So those things can definitely be things to look out for. So in my opinion, that's why I said February is going to be very exciting. And that's what I'm really waiting for is, decision time for a lot of these buyers, a lot of these market makers, a lot of the people who, even though Trump technically is not in power right now, he's talking to people, right? He's talking to big businesses, stockbrokers, regulators, right? On what is on the agenda for 2025, right? So, and depending on those talks go, that's what's really going to kind of make the biggest part of our decisions and how we want to invest. So just keep an open mind to that. Don't put your eggs in all in one basket, and just keep your ears to the pulse of the news, because that's what's going to help you guys really kind of succeed in the next few months. So not a really happy news there, but yeah, just
No.
it can go either way.
Okay, Terry, and then Cruiser.
Yeah, agreed. So sell the news event sounds perfectly reasonable. I do expect volatility on the event. It's just going to be one of those things where I don't think it's reasonable to expect, price action to change just because Trump gets inaugurated. But I think that sentiment will probably cause that to happen anyway.
Before Cruiser goes, just Black Cat's comment. He's not the best chartist. Narrative says BTC will explode, but right now I'm expecting tail down into the 70s, upper 70s. Also looked at Solana on 1 year chart. Looks like a slanted head and shoulders. Interesting. Cruiser, what do you feel about that?
Well, before I get to the Trump thing, I just got to say Bitcoin, for the health of my trades, can't come back into the high 70s. But as far as the whole Trump administration thing goes, I tell you what I'm more focused on is Elon Musk and what he's going to do when Trump gets in or officially takes office. And not so much what he's going to do physically, but he's always got an ace up his sleeve, and there's going to be some obscure token or asset that's just going to go through the roof because he's going to put his name on it. I'm just waiting to see what that looks like, really. I don't really have any specific thoughts on, Trump taking office. I do pay attention to it, but yeah, I'm more focused on the Elon Musk part of that equation.
I'm just looking for something here on Telegram. Juan, you probably saw it too. Someone we know on Telegram, a friend of the channel, Kawika, he actually mentioned that Elon Musk briefly on Twitter, since you mentioned this, Cruiser, he briefly changed his name to Kekius Maximus, Kekius. Turns out that's, what's that?
I saw that too.
Yeah, it turns out it's a token, and that token obviously did quite an amount of gains. I don't remember exactly here, but some trader turned $66 into 3 million profit. So yeah, you're right. Elon Musk, whatever that guy tweets or puts his name on, inadvertently or on purpose, whatever his intentions are, is certainly a manipulator, and he can make markets turn and projects pump like crazy. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think he'll have a hand in it somehow.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those things where should that be legal? Right? Very few people have the ability to sway a market like an Elon does, right? So especially in, like I said, like a meme coin like Maximus there, right? Should that be allowed, right? And remember, he could just tell his friends, right? It doesn't have to be him investing, right? It can be any of his friends. Hey, I'm going to say this tomorrow.
Yep. Oh, you're right.
That's the point I was just going to make. Yeah, his friends and colleagues could definitely benefit from it because he does have that power just to say a word and manipulate the market without any financial commitment on his part.
It's a fine line, though, gentlemen, because even though the traditional market, TradFi, isn't quite as volatile as crypto, but you do have, the Jim Cramers and the Zuckerbergs of the world, like when Meta first came out and Zuck was, promoting it all over the place. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get the same kind of price action or volatility, but I mean, if you kind of say Musk, slap on the wrist, you can't be doing this or what have you. Are you going to do the same thing in TradFi? You get, like I said, the few in traditional finance that heavily lean toward one way or the other. You got Kramer, saying, buy gold, buy stocks, Bitcoin's garbage. I mean, yeah, he may not have exactly the same influence, but he has quite an audience and a huge reach, and he shouldn't be doing that either, even though his words don't exactly move the price all that much. Although, I mean, you could say that when he's bullish Bitcoin, Bitcoin dumps, and when he's bearish Bitcoin, Bitcoin pumps. So kind of the same thing, I suppose.
But that's the whole thing, right? And we both know that if this was traditional finance and he would have said Nvidia or Pepsi instead of Maximus, would things be different? Would he had more regulation on top of him? Probably. So, and these are the things, the challenges that we have to kind of look at, and unfortunately, we empower that, right? Because we spread that message, and of course, people are going to go out and buy it.
How do you
And
prevent
everybody,
it? Really?
listen, there's always ways, right? Consequences. There's always going to be consequences. Yes, we have freedom of speech, but like I tell people all the time, if you're in a movie theater and you yell fire, are you? And we tell you you can't do that. Is that infringing upon your free? No, you can't. All right.
No,
No.
and I agree 100%. And that's where I was going to go with the argument, or with my point was, he is such a freedom of speech proponent that he would definitely try to shut that down real quick. But yeah, that is really, it's a fine line. Yeah.
All right. And I think that's all we can do is hopefully continue to use some of the standards, at least, that we have in traditional finance, and apply some of it towards the crypto, right? Because he's not mentioning regular finance, right? It's always some meme. It's always some hidden gem.
Some obscure,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just be honest. So he knows what he's doing. It
Yeah,
ain't like he's saying the word hello.
Yeah, and how many times has Dogecoin pumped just from him tweeting about it, right?
Or the opposite, or didn't pump,
Or
because
yeah.
the expectation was that he was going to mention said word, and it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy that somebody can have that much influence yet have no direct
repercussion. No repercussions.
Yeah, well,
let's just be honest, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yep.
I personally love it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to a few more Bitcoin charts, and then we'll get into some altcoins and get Terry's perspective on a few, see what he's been following. So I will show this. This is the Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows. I'm giving that a refresh, and there we go. Well, it hasn't been the greatest holiday season, that's for sure. We did have the one massive green day of inflows of 475 million, but the previous 4 days and the 2 days after that were in the red. And then, of course, today we do have a slight positive of 32 million. So a little bit of, I don't want to say negativity when it comes to the ETFs, but there's been a little bit of outflows. I'm not sure if it's, a little bit of retail getting cold feet and doing some selling. Maybe they bought, way back when the ETF first came out and Bitcoin was down around the 60, 70, 80,000 mark. So they're just taking profits, whatever the case may be. It's definitely contributing to, the recent price action. Altcoin index, let's give this a refresh. I believe we're right around the 47, 48. Yep, 47. So we're pretty much in neutral. As everyone knows, we did pop up in the altcoin season range slightly for a very short amount of time, a couple of days, and then right back down. So Bitcoin is still showing its dominance, although the Bitcoin dominance itself is starting to drop. So we'll keep following that, keep you up to date. What was the other one?
Before you go further on there,
go ahead.
Just for the people watching, I'm curious myself because I haven't looked at it. What did that chart look like the last bull run? What were the levels at for the altcoins in the last run? Oh, so we did get up around 100, eh?
There we go. So last bull market was pretty much 98. Yeah, we hit 98 in the last bull market.
And it stayed up there for a little, not too long, but
yeah. Well, it entered altcoin season in March, and it stayed up there until June.
Right.
Yep, near the end of June.
Okay. And that's what I suspected. Like I said, I hadn't looked at it, but I suspected it would have been something like that. So just for anybody who's new into the crypto space, it's barely begun.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
got
just
that.
that was
Yeah,
just a
I
blip
got
in
that question. If are we on the downward trend now? Is the bull market done? And if those people are watching, this is an indication that it's barely begun.
Yeah, throughout a bull market, like if you look back in 2020, 21, 22, well, mainly 20 and 21, it entered kind of altcoin season a little bit, then back down, then back up, then back down, and we hit the major altcoin season. So it does go up and down a few times throughout a bull market. So this blip here is just the first of many. We'll get more. I believe this one was in 23 early in the year. Yeah, January of last year. Now 24.
Oh, yeah.
It was up there real quick, but then right back down when Bitcoin decided to go on its run. So yeah, this will happen multiple times, and I'm not sure exactly when it'll be, but sometime in the next couple of months, anyway. I believe January, February, maybe March is when we will get up here, and we'll sustain this area for a couple of months. We'll have a really good alt season. You'll see your altcoins have its most significant gains in that period. So that is definitely coming. And well, if you were around when it did happen last month or December, early December, you saw how much your altcoins went up just from this quick little blip into the altcoin season. So just wait until the actual altcoin season begins. You will be pleasantly surprised and happy.
And the question that sparked that was somebody asked me, should I be selling all my XRP before it bottoms out? And I said, absolutely not. It's just starting. So
yeah, no.
Now XRP is a bad example, but
I mean, I know a lot of people, especially if you're new into the space, you see this dip of, I don't even think we hit 20%, I'll be honest.
No, I don't think it was.
No, I think, what was it, 18%, 15, 16%, 16%.
Yeah.
That's not even an average dip for a bull market. Although this time is a little bit different because there's a lot more liquidity in the market. We have a lot of institutions with ETFs and that. So that could be a bit of a contributing factor as to why we didn't get a major dip. But typically in a bull market, we'll get, half a dozen or so, 4 or 5, maybe 6 corrections of 20, 25, even up to 30%, sometimes more, but that was in earlier bull markets. But that is typical. So this, little 16% correction is nothing. It's a blip on the radar. I'm pretty sure that once we do get the next leg up, I'm sure you gentlemen will agree. Let's say Bitcoin gets up to 118 to 120,000, we'll probably have a retracement down to pretty much where we are now, and that would be just a Tuesday in crypto. So something to worry about. I mean, dips suck, yeah, especially if you're in any leverage positions, or if you are, if you're holding on for dear life and you don't take profits on the way up, and then when it does come back down, you're kind of at square one. That does suck. And that's why we're here. We're going to try to educate you and try to get you to play the market to, and make the most out of it as you possibly can.
I mean, I think that XRP is a prime example for you taking advantage of a ranging market, right? Like you look at the beginning of the month, and that was around the time that we started mentioning XRP. And you look at December, where it was like $2.60, and then it dips down all the way down to like 220, 230, and then it comes right back up, then dips right back down. This is within matter of weeks, back down to $2, and it comes right back up to $2.70. Now it's back down. I mean, to me, these are perfect things to do when we talk about DCAing, taking your profits at the top, take a little trim. When you see it drop, DCA, resell those when it comes back up again, not to fold your hands and start panicking. Right. So for me, this is like prime. That's prime. Like you want that. To me, it shows that people are interested in buying and selling. When people are interested in buying and selling, you're going to get that volatility, and you should live for this volatility. Sell when it's high, buy when it's low. Like everybody wants to buy when it's green. No, buy when it's red.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is
it's human nature. Yeah.
oh, the price is going up. Let me buy now. And then you notice that you just formed a new resistance line. Like nobody's gonna freaking buy from. And now you're waiting like 8 months to get back up there. It makes no sense. Buy when it's red, guys. Buy when it's red.
It's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, it took some leverage trading for me to learn that same lesson about avoiding the green candles. Getting into longs on a green candle, not very smart. So I've learned that lesson now, and this up and down movement that, especially with XRP, it's reaping some benefits.
For me. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's one of those emotions, especially if you're new in the market. When you see a price drop, your first instinct is to sell. It's the fight or flight that takes over, and you have to resist that. You got to get the opposite mentality that when prices are going down, it is a buying opportunity. When the prices are pumping, your natural reaction is to FOMO. You want to get into that action. Well, you should have already been in it, on a red candle, and B, as the price is going up, that's when you want to take money off the table. You want to take your profits. But it's kind of a mentality that most new people in crypto, their natural reaction, you got to do the opposite in most cases. What were we going to say, Juan?
So for me, the attractiveness of buying a red candle is not only that you have if the price goes up, great, right? Whatever. But let's say the price continues to go down after you DCA'd. Like you're closer to the floor when you're at the red candle than you are had you bought at a green candle. So your chances of having a bigger loss are lessened because you're closer to losing anyway. So why not buy at the red and then focus on, okay, at what price would I want to sell part of it, do a partial, recover something, right? And if it goes down again, I'll DCA with the money I just made. So those are the things that I kind of look at when I make decisions on when I'm going to invest, how much am I going to invest, and when I want to pull out, or how much I want to pull out. So I don't understand that FOMO mentality of let me wait until like it's at its peak. Oh, it broke 100K. Let me buy now. No, wait for the retracement. And if you did, you'd be happy.
Yeah. And for those that don't know what DCAing is, it stands for dollar cost average. I'll give you a real quick analogy. Let's say a token is worth $1. You buy it and the price retraces. It goes all the way down to 75 cents. Well, you buy it there again. But then if the price retraces all the way down to 50 cents, you buy a little bit again there. So then your initial entry point of $1 is now averaged out down to 75 cents. Then when the price goes back up to $1, you're 25% in profit. So that's essentially how it works. And, learning a little bit of TA and you get your DCA points, which I'll show here in a minute, is the best way to go about doing DCA. Now, Terry, I wanted to come back to you. You had mentioned a few altcoins that you were interested in. You had a little bit of information on that. Did you want to talk about that right now?
Yeah, I did. I got a couple of things to say about what we've been speaking about here, though. Yeah, the biggest hurdle that most traders face, in my opinion, is emotions, their own emotions, right? Just emotional decisions are usually poor. And I agree with Juan. A lot of money is made on the buy. You buy on those red candles for sure. And averaging down. So the thing about the dollar cost averaging is it's buying with a set amount. Like you just decide, once a month, whatever it is, you're going to put, once every 2 weeks, whatever, you're going to put like $100 in. And so you get more as the price goes down. But the entire concept of dollar cost averaging is that it gives you the average cost over a period of time, right? If you put $100 in every, period of time, then you're going to catch it a little bit high, you're going to catch it a little bit low, but you're going to get that. You're not going to get a really bad entry. You're going to get an average entry.
Great way to put it. So what are we looking at here? Oh, Slinky.
Slinky. Yeah, so Slinky, this is one. Oh, cool. I got my positions off. Nice. So this is one that I called in a couple of groups here. Super, super nice. I actually started talking about it. Oh, man, I forget where it was. Oh, yeah, right here at this 9 million mark, because that was going to be a 382 pullback. And so the premise was that if you have this, that it was going to be a continuation on the cup and you get a push here. So I was thinking you get like a shallow push up off the 382. That didn't happen, right? But that's okay because you were able to DCA buy a little bit lower, bring your average down, and on that dip, and then it bounced back. Now, when I DCA, I always tell people what you want to do is as soon as you get back to your average, you want to think, I mean, it depends on price action a little bit. If it's moving up strongly, you may want to wait. But as soon as you get back to that new average, you want to trim. You want to reduce your exposure because the position is bigger than you originally intended. That's the problem with DCAing. If you don't trim a little on the bounces, you can end up just pouring money into something that just keeps going down. Right. But anyway, so it bounced up here, and then I said, okay, maybe it's going to come down. After this wick to 6.49, it came up, and we were looking at the test of this bottom wedge. So one more wick down to maybe 6.49 or 6.5. It got that. It's moved. This is just beautiful. I'm really expecting this one to move up nicely.
Nice. And this one is on Solana. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, these are all on Solana. I will say I'm a Solana specialist, so I will mention if a particular token is not on Solana. So
Okay.
here's SVMAI, which is that's been working really well for us too. So it dropped down, bottomed here really nicely. So we have an inverse head and shoulders popped off that, and then went into this sort of a descending channel consolidation, popped up above it. Right, so deviation above, came back down, re-entered the channel. Very, very common to check the other bound. Didn't quite get there, but it hit our support at 7 million. That 7 million has just been a level for us. Pop back up. This one's looking really bullish too. I expect some there's potential for support here. Probably going to see a second dip down to maybe like 7.4. So probably see something maybe above 7.4. Anyway, so somewhere in there. And looking for that one to push up. So probably do a midline retest. That's also really bullish when you see a midline reversal there. Okay, here you go, guys. Here's a little gem. This is a low cap gem, or reasonably low cap, super dumped out. But I like this one for an upside move, actually. So we're in wedgie consolidation. Volume's really low right now. This one's trading really slow, so take it with a grain of salt. The thing about the really low volume or thinly traded stuff is, when it moves, it can just move like wild. It doesn't take too many big buys to get it going.
I love the name on that one. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Yeah. Okay, last one here, Scout. I should probably change the time frame on this one, actually. Oops. Went a little too high. But so we're looking at Scout is bouncing. Did not get, I was looking for, a little bit more of a inverse head and shoulders, or more of some, the wedgie consolidation to come a little bit higher. It hasn't done that. So we're not going to get this move up probably. Matter of fact, this is probably going to move down here. May see a higher high or a higher low here, but I think we probably are going to come back down and check this trend line, if not the lower blue frost line there, and then maybe come back up, check this. So we're just looking for wedgie consolidation, volume to continue to drop on that. This one's probably going to take a couple of days to play out. So that's it.
Nice. Thanks for that.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're all pretty much fans of Solana here on the channel, so we can all relate and appreciate those meme coins or coins. There's another one that actually maybe we'll mention next week, Cruiser, but you and I have, mainly you've done some research on it, and if it looks to be a good one, maybe we'll bring it to the viewers' attention next week. But as for now, I want to show a bit of a DCA strategy. Now, anyone that's getting new into crypto, chances are you've downloaded the Coinbase app. A lot of new people in crypto do. If you're Canadian, maybe you're using like crypto.com or something. If you're into Solana, you've obviously got the Phantom wallet, which has been one of the most downloaded wallets around. But sometimes whatever wallet you are on or exchange that you happen to be using, it may not have the token that you hear about, someone talking about, or you've done research on, and you're looking for a place where you can buy them. a sponsor of the channel, as we've been mentioning, is Bitunix. And I'm not really going to mention the leverage side of it, but what I do want to talk about is if your exchange or whatever doesn't hold or carry the token that that may be, let's see, I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is a Bitunix exchange. So if like I said, if your exchange or your wallet doesn't have the token that you want to purchase, or if you want to do DCAing, because sometimes certain wallets don't have a DCA option, where you set certain orders and then the exchange or wallet will buy those tokens for you at those prices. So this is Bitunix again. Like I said, the link is down in the description below if you do want to support the channel. But you go over here and the spot tokens or the amount of tokens on Bitunix is insane. I've never actually counted. They're constantly adding new ones. There's just so many in here. And chances are if the exchange that you are using or the wallet that you're using doesn't have a certain token, there's a good chance that Bitunix will have it. And if they don't, all you have to do is message them through the app and they will most likely add it. They're really, really good in that way. So what I wanted to go over is just a spot limit order. So if you want to, let's say, okay, I'm not going to use Bitcoin, but let's use Solana as an example here, because Solana's had a pretty good dip lately. Go on the daily. Okay. So as you can see, Solana had a pretty good run and it topped out here, made a new all-time high, mind you. So I can't be too hard on Solana for that, but 264. But then we've had a pretty good retracement. So let's take the measuring tool and see. I'm just curious. Sol did drop down 33%. Yep, 33.5%. So that's a pretty good dip. So if you're thinking that, down in this range, or if you are doing your TA and you're, starting to learn how to do it, and you find a zone, let's say, well, these are some of the buys that I've had, obviously, but if you take this straight across, you can see it's a pretty good area. And that's where Solana pretty much found support. So let's say you wanted to DCA at this level at, $179 as an example. You go to spot on Bitunix or your exchange of preference. And then if you come down here, you can actually set your limit order. So for those that have never done this, it's very, very easy. You make sure you select limit. You can select whatever price you want. So let's say you want to select $179. And then, you set the amount of your USDT in your account for that limit order. Now, the neat thing about this is that you can set multiple buys. Like, let's say you got that level, and then you have, this level down here. You think, okay, if it comes down, it's got pretty good support down there. So you have set another limit buy order there. It's an easy to set so that, you're not constantly watching the chart. If there is a wick and you didn't catch it, well, you've already set that buy order and it fills. So that's all you do here. You set the amount in your account that you want to buy. So let's say in this case, 50%, which I don't have any in my spot account. It's all in my futures account. And then you select buy, and then it'll set the limit order at those prices that you pre-select. So that's a good way to, not necessarily DCA as in time-wise, like some people like to DCA a certain amount of money once a week. Doesn't matter what the price is, but this is a good way to DCA and set your average buy-in lower and lower and lower. Just wanted to go over that real quick. Not a lot of people are aware that is a thing. A lot of people think you just come onto the exchange and you buy. Now, certain wallets, that's all you can do. There's no option to buy at certain levels. You just buy at whatever the current price is, which would be, in this case, a market order. But setting those limit orders is a great way to DCA and set your average entry price lower and lower. So I just wanted to mention that before we go any further. Do you guys have any comments on that? Any advice to the listeners?
Well, for me, it's the same thing I always say, right? Prepare, prepare, prepare. So for me, like, for example, when I'm in Bitcoin, I already have buys in place at the 90 range because it's been doing it. And then I have SLs at the 89. So if it bought and I knew that it was going to go further down, I'd rather take that short loss. I can deal with it later down the road and buy again if the price is going to continue to go down. Same thing here. You're just preparing yourself. So, and this is a great way to line yourself up for success because you're paying attention to what you want to do. So in my opinion, this is a great way to kind of learn about DCA and how to take advantage of it for your own for your own rotations.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see here, actually, let me make this full screen so it's easier for everyone to see. As you can see, I do have a bunch of buys. Oh, where's my arrow? Sorry, guys. Let me get my arrow back. There we go. As you can see, I have a bunch of buys already that have opened. Couple were spot, and there's actually one that is a leverage trade in there as well. But you can see when price did come up, you never want to buy the tops of candles, which we've already discussed. So you want to make sure you set buy orders down low, because anytime there is a massive price increase, there's usually almost always a correction. Now, when it does correct, that's where the TA comes in. You kind of got to find areas on the chart where it looks like it will become support, and that is exactly where I set these buys. And as you can see, they've all hit. They've all hit when the price of Solana came down. Now, the other thing you can do here now, without I have all this on my other chart, but I just noticed now that if you take this from the top and bring it across, look at that. I just noticed that now. You got the top where the previous high, you bring it across 1, 2, 3 touch points. And when it did finally break out to make that new all-time high, it came down and retested. So there's, perfect example of basic TA, basic trends, and the price action turning resistance into support and then now breaking out. So there's another example, just like I gave on the XRP chart, live on the channel. Doesn't always happen and work that way, but that's a perfect example. So these were areas where, in hindsight, if I had seen this trend, I may not have set my orders here. But then again, when the price did come up, chances are it will come down and retest that area, which it did perfectly.
So I just like to point out to people that may not know that 2 lines give you a perspective, or I'm sorry, 2 points, 2 touches of a line. They define the line, but that doesn't make it a trend line. It's the third touch that confirms it. And then when you get the back test, when you get the breakout and the back test of it, like you have in this instance, that's what tells you it's a major trend line.
Exactly. Thank you. Well said. I was trying to explain that, but the words just weren't coming out. Thank you, Terry. Okay, and what time are we at now? 57 minutes. Okay, any last comments on this, guys, before I move on to our last topic? No. Everybody good? Okay. I was chatting with Juan earlier before the stream, obviously, and we have, like I said, we have the affiliate link for this for Bitunix, and we like to give back to the community, especially for supporting the channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway on the channel again. We did one a few months back with my old co-host by the Dip. This time we're going to do a similar giveaway, only it's not going to be quite as difficult. More details are to come, but what we're going to be giving away is a couple of hardware wallets. I actually have them right here. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of them, but they are, how do you pronounce it, Cruiser? Is it ballet or ballet?
It's ballet.
Ballet. So we got a couple of, right here, physical ballet hardware wallets. They're very unique and easy to use, and it's perfect cold storage for, well, Bitcoin or pretty much any crypto you want to. This is the website here. So this is the card. Store your cryptocurrency securely, and then scrolling down, the website gives you all kinds of information. Easy setups, safe, cold storage, giftable. There's multiple assets that you can store on here. It's very, very easy, very convenient. It's got a QR code, which I'm sure you've seen in a lot of different wallets, and the actual wallet address is there as well. If I click on the card, give you some details. So basically, this is what it is. Step 1, make sure you examine the product, which, these are brand new. I'll go back to, these are brand new, still in their hard case. It's an actual hard card, still sealed. And so what you do is the QR code that is there, when you get the card, you just peel that off, and that has some of the information in behind. Anyway, so you make sure that it hasn't been tampered with, which it hasn't. You download the app. the Bally app, which makes it it's kind of like a Ledger wallet. You can have Ledger Live on your phone, but the actual physical ledger itself is where the crypto is held. It can't be hacked. It can't be, there's no access whatsoever because it is a physical wallet offline, which is kind of unique. So you download the app, scan the QR code, and then everything is right on your app, all your information. But your actual crypto, like I said, is stored on the actual physical card. It is a metal card, which is kind of neat. Just having that physical card is really for peace of mind anyway. And then, so you can import crypto assets from Coinbase, from Ledger, from multiple different wallets. You can deposit crypto, you can send crypto. It's just like a regular Ledger, for example, but with this one, it's a physical card. And the only way to access it is through the QR code, and then you use the app to do any types of transactions. So it's kind of neat. Just thought I'd show this real quick. We will share details as to exactly how to win. There are 2 of them, as you can see. So we'll go over details in next week's episode as to exactly what the rules are, the guidelines, and how you can win them. But we thought, we'd give back to the community for being generous and for supporting the channel. Black Cat, who is one of our longest, I've known Black Cat for a little while now, but he actually won the last giveaway that we had. He won the Elipal wallet, which is, according to him, it's a pretty good wallet. And of course, anytime you can win a hardware wallet, it's amazing. So that is that. Like I said, we'll go over more details in a future stream, probably next week. Just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. So that brings us to the end of the stream. Guys, any last words before we call it a night? Start with you, Cruiser.
No. I was just trying to think back in my head. We didn't get to the whole IRS thing, did we?
No. Well, if you guys want to go over it, we can. It's just that the hour went by so fast.
It did, and that's why I was going through my head. Like, did I miss something? I didn't fall asleep, did I?
Well, Juan, did you want to go through it quick, or did you want to save it, or did you want to talk about?
Let's go over it because I think people are doing their taxes, and it's even though it won't affect them this year, it's probably could explain some of the actions that we see today. So the IRS finally decided to close on a bill in December that will force brokers into making sure that they are effectively reporting on digital asset transactions and expanding upon existing reporting requirements. So that way they can always know what you guys are doing. The more concerning part, though, is not just brokers, they're also extending it to decentralized exchanges, which is a little ironic because decentralized means you're not keeping records of me and what I'm doing. So it's a little weird there. So they wanted it to go off for 2025, but it looks like it's going to go into effect in 2027. However, they will be the brokers and decentralized exchanges will be forced to report on them or start reporting in 2026. So for the year of 2027. So those are things that we have to prepare ourselves for and make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's, because again, when the IRS wants information and the government is behind them, they're going to get it. Now, with Trump coming in, would that make a difference? I'm not sure, right? Because this is now being passed prior to him stepping in, right? Because they know they're not going to, the current IRS under Trump probably won't allow this kind of to happen, right? But at the same time, they're not taking anything to chance. So there is a group of people in Texas who are currently suing the IRS because for the same reason, right? Like I stated, that you're going against what DeFi kind of stands for. And they feel that they're over exceeding the grasp of their reach when it comes to what the IRS is allowed to do. They feel they're violating the 4th and 5th amendments. So this is going to be very interesting and what happens. But again, for 2025, you guys are pretty good, and we'll see how this evolves. And I'll definitely keep you guys apprised of any changes. But for now, make your buys, make your sells. You guys are good. But 2026, hopefully we'll have this already either quelled or more defined role on how this can go about. Because I don't. I mean, brokers already got a report, right? In one way or another, like Coinbase, stuff like that. But decentralized exchanges are usually not required to do so because they don't. They're not responsible for collecting information. And honestly, as a person who does use decentralized exchanges, I wouldn't provide them my social anyway. So those are things that that it would be very interesting to see how they kind of enforce it, especially on the decentralized level. Guys, have any questions?
Um,
Go ahead, Cruiser.
I promise the answers are free. All the answers I provide are free.
So it's my understanding that for now, you guys down there are similar to how we are in Canada, where we can use our own documentation or software for tax purposes, as far as any transactions or capital gains that we've made. So is that what the big change is going to be? Is that my understanding, that that's a big part of the change going into 26? Is that you'll be forced to use the accounting software or whatever it is that whatever they define as a broker gives you?
So right now, for example, if you're on Coinbase, they already provide you with what you bought and what you sold, right?
Right.
But it's on what happens on their exchange only. So that's simple, and they send that to the IRS and they send it to you. However, let's say you shipped it from your cold wallet and you transferred it to Coinbase because you were going to convert it. Well, that transaction now has to be reported. Okay, and then reported. Where in the past, you can kind of write it in yourself. You can go into Coinbase and say, okay, this was from, a gift, or you can say I had this before, I bought it a long time, whatever, right? Now they want to record each and every transaction. But the scarier part has nothing to do with the existing part, with the existing brokers. It's more with the decentralized finance. Everybody wants decentralized finance because if I want to give my brother $3,000, the IRS doesn't need to know I gave him $3,000. It's none of their business, right? Because if I gave it to him in cash, they wouldn't know. So why would that be different, right? This is why we have decentralized transactions. But here we go. Now they want to know about those transactions, and now they're heading into the decentralized areas of the market. And so that's the part where they're feeling that they're overextending their reach.
Yeah, how would they enforce that if they've expanded the definition of a broker to include decentralized exchanges? How are they going to enforce it? That decentralized is the whole purpose of not having that enforcement, right?
Well, listen, they went after Binance, right?
Yeah, true enough.
All right, they went after all these other brokers. I don't see why they wouldn't make up some hipster law that will allow them to do what they feel they need to do. I'm all for, don't get me wrong, I'm all for great and proper regulation. I'm all for holding people accountable who hold your money and then run off into the night with it. This is not it. This is just a way to kind of tax people instead of solving the issues. Start with solving the issues. Why don't they just solve our issues first and then worry about how are you going to tax it down the road? Solve the problems, make it safe, make it easy for us to use, set a standard, then worry about taxing. It's like they want to give me the money first and then we'll worry about everything else later. It's always blows up in our faces, always.
I used to think that taxing was the main driver of a lot of the things the government does. They want that tax money. They want their fingers in the cookie jar, which it still is. That's the biggest part. But to a point, I think they just want to control money. They want to control finances everywhere, and everyone's finances. And I don't know. They've got this old dinosaur theory that if they control the money, they control the power, and they see crypto as a threat because they can't control it like they can fiat, and they don't control crypto exchanges like they control banks. And that's where their fear comes in, because if they don't control the citizens, then they don't have absolute power, and that's the wrong way of thinking. I really hope the rumors that we're hearing about Trump and his administration being pro crypto is true, and that a lot of this stuff that you're hearing about possibly happening is delayed. I don't think it's, they can't stop it completely. All they can really do is delay it for, the 4 years that the Dems are in power, and God willing, 8 years with whoever the next leader is. But yeah, I think it depends on who the government is, aka the Democrats. They're going to try to control everything, and unfortunately, that's the way it is. Now, one question I had for you is now, if they try to treat decentralized exchanges as brokers, what about those decentralized exchanges that are not based in the U.S.? Like, how can they control them?
Well, right now, remember, there's a lot of what's called FASFA rules that kind of go within different countries. And so those different countries will then be held responsible for holding them accountable. So yeah, those things do exist. They protect the current brokers right now, especially for Forex, when they deal with like money issuance. So, and they're definitely issuing money, right? Because if you made anything on those Forex exchanges, then they are responsible for sending it to you. So
Right.
that those are some of the protections we have as Americans or international money exchanges. So at the end of the day, though, this is why KYC is such a big problem. This is why, and especially in the Forex space, a lot of brokers are disappearing from the US side because of all these different requirements. And again, right, like there are ways to make countries suffer when you don't make the United States happy, right? And they're never going to tell you, well, because you didn't do this for us, we're going to do this to you, right? Because we're never going to hear that. But you can see some of the repercussions in the news, right? When you see a tariff show up, or when you see all of a sudden that certain goods are being removed from shipping, or certain prices change for a country. So I'm not surprised that, they're trying to, again, like go for the money, because the US seems to always be a very reactive or late reactive to things instead of being proactive. Like crypto this is not new. Crypto's been in the space for a while, and yet here we are still trying to play catch up and try to collect the money first without laying down a foundation. And this is why we went after XRP and Binance, because again, we're just too late to the party. And now we want to just catch up and collect money. No, and I don't, don't get me wrong. United States is not a hungry money nation. They don't tend to need it the way they think we do, or the way they make it seem. However, when you have companies that, and I'm talking like BlackRock, for example, who income is higher than certain countries' GDP in total.
Yeah.
It's scary, right? It's scary. So, so I get why they feel this urge, but that's again the United States lack of being proactive and allowing places like BlackRock allowed to surmount that much money, right? Because they ain't like they've existed like the Rockefellers since 1934. So how they were able to amass sums of money like this, I mean, that's a different story. That's a different avenue that we're not going to discuss now. But these are the challenges that we face today, and we need leaders that are going to be proactive and not reactive to things. And they knew this was that this could happen. Crypto, we've all sung its praises and the ability to replace the dollar. It could, right? It's safer. It has you can't counterfeit it. But yet here we are, late to the party. So I'm hoping that, again, that the people in Texas are going to be successful and kind of not just delaying it, but making smart money decisions for their average investor. Because at the end of the day, it is people like us that suffer, and not big companies, right? The people who bought tons of Bitcoin, trillions of dollars, it's a wipe in their butt compared to for us. So at the end of the day, we need the help, not them.
Okay. Well,
Sorry for the rant.
hear. What's that?
Sorry for the rant.
Oh no, it's not
Nope.
a rant. It's really important. Like U.S. residents, they really need to understand this because it could change. Well, it could change a lot. I mean, it could change the crypto landscape.
Not only
Way
that,
you-
but it can affect other countries because the way we handle it, other countries that are not
Will follow.
on par with us will be in fear of us and then be forced to kind of follow our lead, right? And this is not what we want to do.
No, so we're definitely going to keep our eyes on that, and if anything new develops, we'll report it, and we'll just keep everybody up to date. I think
Yes,
that's very,
sir.
very important. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Juan. Crypto Cruiser, thanks for joining me again this week.
right.
We will be back next week. I'm sure the week's events are going to be plentiful, and we'll have a packed show next week as well. Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure as always.
Hold your breath, it's a crazy ride. Welcome to the Weekly Roundtable.